Hey everybody, thanks for joining us for this nutrition module. I'm super excited to be joined by performance and health nutritionist Barry Murray. Barry, thanks for joining me.
Hi Anthony, thanks. Good to be on.
Uh, Barry, I think a lot of our customers are really going to benefit from the teachings you have. But before we get into that, maybe just give us a little bit of background on yourself and your work experience in cycling.
Yeah, so very quickly, I'm actually a chemist by trade, so studied chemistry, was working for a few years and decided that my kind of interest was in nutrition. So I became a student again over in England, did sports nutrition, then just got in working with all types of athletes, mainly endurance, and that led to me working with a lot of cyclists. Work with a lot of kind of elite and say semi-pro guys over in England, and then I just got in with Steve Cummings when he was with Team Sky. Started working one to one with him. That led to me getting a contract with BMC Cycling. I moved over to Italy there, spent 2 years working with BMC and living in the same town as Cavendish and guys like Taylor Finney. Anyway, since then I've been working privately as my own, as a kind of personal consultant with various riders from Orica Green Edge, Team Dimension Data, and BMC obviously, and yeah, now I'm just kind of, I work obviously with a lot of endurance athletes, but my specialty is with cycling and how cyclists can build the biggest engine they can without killing themselves and being healthy. That's the key.
Uh, Barry, I know we're going to go through exactly your teachings in detail and what people should eat, you know, based on the type of session they're doing. But I think it's also important that people have a grounding and understand why they're doing this stuff. So maybe a good place for us to get started is let's talk about nutrition at the moment and what's wrong with the current nutrition teachings and nutrition paradigm.
Yeah, so we're gonna, as I said, this is where we're laying the foundations here. So that's just the first kind of set of images I want people to show. It's like it's about eating real food. Okay, so nothing here is some magical potion that people take twice a day to lose body fat and become superhuman. This is everything. All my teachings are basically about eating natural, real food. Okay, down the bottom you'll see it's about eating foods that we are designed to eat. Right? Okay, because there's a lot of stuff today that we didn't have hundreds of years ago. But, so why are we eating these foods today? And then thirdly, it's about putting it into practice. I'm doing it myself as a runner, ultra runner, and I'm doing it with like cyclists, particularly pro cyclists I'm working with. Um, where it's gone
And it's
wrong
actually it's
is,
interesting, Barry, that you commented on that because we see it all the time, and people think that information alone is going to solve their problem. Information won't fix the problem for you. You need to take action on this information, lads. It can't be just, oh, you know, your man Barry's very interested in there, and leave this stuff down. Like what we're talking to you about today needs to be applied.
yeah, I've learned more from doing than I have from reading in the last several years. So that's what it's about. You need to obviously understand and have the knowledge or whatever, but you also need to apply it. That's the key, and that's what a lot of people are lacking today. Online, you can gain all the information you want, but are people actually doing it in real life?
Okay, so
So
what are people eating at the moment that's wrong? And talk me through why it's wrong.
yeah, so how it's gone wrong is, I mean, the first thing that everyone has been following, mostly people here who are whatever in their 30s, 40s, it's like it is this big business of the food pyramid that we're told that we should base everything that we eat on 6 to 11 servings of carbohydrates, right? And that we should eat sparingly fats, and that we just should eat our standard for 5 portions of fruit and veg, right?
So where
None
did
of it
this
makes
myth come from about the carbohydrate being at the base of the food pyramid?
Say that again, sorry.
Why have we been taught this that carbohydrates are at the base of the food
Well,
pyramid?
interestingly enough, right, if you look at when this food pyramid came out, it was like back in the 70s. And to cut a long story short, the grain industry had a massive effect on government guidelines because you go into a supermarket and you've got 2 or 3 aisles full of cereals and biscuits and breads and all sorts of different foods manufactured from refined grains. So if you look at the very first food pyramids, one of the main sponsors was good old Kellogg's, right? So they want you. These companies are obviously big, big industries that have a massive impact on government guidelines and recommendations, and they want you to have to be eating the majority of these foods. So That was the main thing. The second thing was then that coincided with that was this study done that showed that fats cause, heart disease and obesity. But without getting into it, this was another one of these kind of mis misinformed kind of study that was done on the kind of
That's
what
something I
people
would
should
have been
eat.
taught growing up, Barry, that even, your mom would say to you at dinner, I'll cut the fat off your rasher there, and you would think that, intuitively growing up, I kind of learned that, fat is bad for you. So is is that wrong? Was I wrong in
Yeah,
thinking that?
well, this was the big thing we got then. So first of all, you're told that you should be eating loads of cereals and bread and rice and pasta to to be the base of your diet. Secondly, then you're told to avoid all fat, eat it, drink skim, only have skim milk, and cut all the fat off your rashers, like you said, and don't use butter, and avoid anything that has whole fats in it. So that's this is wrong for a lot of reasons because actually the food that we should be eating the most of is fats, and that is actually the most natural food source that we have to convert into energy. Now, when you're eating too much carbohydrate, then the fats don't get a chance really to be burned. So first of all, fat doesn't make you fat. Fat gives you energy. Fat actually provides a lot of nutrients. Fat actually helps a lot of your body's cells to function, basically. So
And
that
fat actually
should
gives
be,
me that feeling of fullness and, being satisfied after a meal as well.
well, yeah, I mean, there's loads of offshoots of this. And, naturally, the food that actually switches off your hunger cravings because one of the things that causes appetite miss what's the word I say I'm looking for loss of control of appetite is down to blood sugar swings and hormonal then swings that come from the blood sugar swings. What does that mean? Well, if you're eating bowls of cereal and bread and biscuits, all that's doing is going to make you hungry. Whereas you eat foods that have more whole natural fats in them, it won't mess up your blood sugar and then it won't affect those appetite hormones. You get me?
Yeah, so insulin's a big thing, and we're going to get into a little bit later how to control that and how it affects us.
Yeah, so leading on to that then is what people do every day to try and lose weight is how they count and watch every calorie they're eating. Now, anyone that comes to me these days knows that I never get anyone to count any calories because of how wrong it is, how misguided it is to base how you lose weight and how you eat based on the calorie content. Let's give a little example. If there's 500 calories in a bowl of jelly babies and there's 500 calories in a bowl of almonds, I guarantee you the jelly babies are going to be worse for you in terms of how you gain weight than the 500 calories of almonds. Why? Well, again, it's back down to how the food affects your hormonal patterns. And this is the key to what I want people to understand is like food is not how much calories it has in it. Food is what it switches on inside you and what it triggers. So I treat food as a plate of triggers and switches. I don't treat it as a plate of calories. Okay?
Yeah. Well, the classic example for me with that one, Barry, is, I mentioned to you when we had our initial consultation, I had often, temptation to get the better of me coming home from a long race. You need food fast. The most convenient thing on the motorway, it's McDonald's. You go in there, you'll have your Big Mac meal, your chicken nuggets, your supersized Coke, whatever. It's probably 2,000 calories in that. And then I get another, 40, 50 kilometers down the highway, and I'm thinking, actually, I'm fucking hungry again. And that makes no sense. I've just had 2,000 calories of food. So to me, on a very primitive level, that just tells me calories aren't created equal.
Yeah, there's two problems. You've got empty calories, so all those foods that you just described, most people know that they're junk. But what they've got is empty. Their nutrient levels are very low. Everything from minerals, vitamins to amino acids, fatty acids, they're very low. But secondly, back to this whole thing of what it's driving, eating foods that are easily converted into sugar, blood glucose, causes your triggers and switches are offset then, right? And you want to hit the right switches when you eat something, and these types of foods are what cause that. But in conjunction with that kind of stuff, what I just talked about, it's the classic recommendations of that. You're going out on your bike ride on a Saturday. Make sure you fuel up beforehand with loads of porridge and bananas and toast and Nutella, and make sure every hour you're eating 60 to 90 grams. Again, of these type of carbohydrate type foods to keep you going. So all this information is driving you to eat more processed kind of carbohydrate foods, not eat the food that you should be eating the most of, which is fat, misguide your decision making based on telling you to watch calories and count calories and to choose low fat foods. And then all the while, you're not building the biggest engine that you could be building. And secondly, you're not getting as healthy as you could be getting.
Right, Barry, talk to me. Where do we get started on this? There you go.
So
That's a
very
nice segue to your next slide there.
Yeah, very quickly. I mean, I like to base things on practicalities as well as obviously science. And if I told people to go out from now on, eat food that you can only find in nature, honestly, that would get people probably 75% of the way to better health and fitness. Why? Well, if I go out and ask you to find a bowl of Special K in the field, you won't be able to find it,
You're just
If I
taking things
ask you,
straight on my diet plan here, aren't you?
yeah, if I asked you to go out and find chicken goujons and fish fingers, again, you can't find them in nature. So a lot of food that we eat today is not naturally present in nature, and that's a simple way of trying to of how you should be choosing how you eat. The second thing is like again, I'm going to go back to how we used to live. We weren't waking up in the morning with fruit smoothies and bowls of cereal, and we weren't going to work with bagels and paninis. Why not eat foods that you're naturally designed to eat? If you can fish it or shoot it or pick it off a tree or dig it up from the ground, that's kind of how we used to scavenge and hunt for food. So why are we not doing all these things today? And that's a massive thing that's offsetting us today. Then, I mean, I won't get into this, but I'll just tell people, should an Irish person be eating mangoes and pineapple in December? We didn't have these foods available to us, so why are we constantly putting stuff into us that really we're not again, it's not our ethnicity. And likewise, if there's somebody listening to this in South America or something, why they should be eating maybe, bowls of porridge and spuds, because a lot of what you eat does depend on where you come from. Finally, and this is where it affects every single person today, if something is being sold to you because it claims to lower your cholesterol or give you, reduce your calories or, make your muscles bigger or whatever it may be, these are commercially guided recommendations. So everything that we're being told to eat today has a profit attached to it. And if I went and asked you to get like a piece of steak and some salmon and a piece of broccoli and a handful of spuds, do you see is there anything written on those foods that's telling you to buy them? No. So I tell people just buy food loose, buy your meat loose, buy your veg loose, buy things wrapped in a piece of paper, not packaged and not with commercial interest attached to them.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
So people are going to want to know what the actual food base is, okay? So what I'm saying is, like I said, it's found in nature. What does that mean you can eat? Look, any sort of vegetable you can find is fine. Low sugar fruit, because while people
Low sugar fruit now, Barry?
Sorry?
What would be an example of low sugar fruits and high sugar fruits?
People bring bananas and oranges with them to lunch, and they're sitting at their desk eating these. Those foods are really high in sugar, and that sugar is the same sugar that you can find in a packet of, like, again, back to the Jelly Baby thing, it's still a unit of glucose, a molecule of glucose. That's the same thing that's in high sugar fruits. So low sugar fruits are actually things like strawberries, blueberries, a lot of berries like the raspberries. These are low in sugar. An apple will be lower in sugar than a banana, but majority of your soft fruits, anything from an orange to a banana to a pineapple to a mango, I mean, these are very high in sugar. So realistically, fruits should be kind of a low part of your diet, as in you should be eating much of them, and if you are eating them, it should be in season, which is when they're growing, obviously mainly in summer. And for Irish people, they should mainly be berries.
Okay.
Look, I know we're going to have a lot of vegetarians listening to this, but again, what's the most natural kind of foods you can eat? foods that come from animals, be it eggs or dairy, and then foods that you can actually hunt, be it, poultry, meats, fish. Um, these are the foods that should be, the predominant part of your diet. Um, you're going to have other foods, obviously, then that you can pick off trees like nuts and seeds and olives. Um, and then, look, a lot of people live off bread and they live off bagels and they live off cereals. Unfortunately, this is what is causing a lot of today's problems. But back to the older days, there were grains that were pretty much we were much better on, and people in Ireland are definitely better on things like oats than they are on refined wheat. And you can get other things like buckwheat and kamut, and there's a big drive these days on making sourdough type breads. But what does this mean? It's A, it's natural, B, it's more ancestral, and C, it's not, again, the conventional recommended to modern commercially pushed foods. Okay?
Yeah,
So
definitely sounds good.
rather than telling people in terms of text what to eat, look at the foods that I'm recommending. It's like they're healthy, they're tasty, they're
These are
colourful.
foods my granny would have told me to eat.
Well, that's usually what people come back to say is like they're all just real foods, and they're foods that don't have many ingredients, and that that your grandparents would have eaten. Look, it's like piece of fish, piece of steak, some good cheese, eggs, nice bit of veg, salads. I don't know too many people that would not want to eat these foods. You don't see any. I'm not talking about any sort of spirulina infused smoothie with some sort of special blend of proteins. This is all just natural foods. Um, in terms of what you should avoid, it's probably more important than what you should actually eat. So, look, number one on the list is anything that's from your cereal aisle, your bread aisle, your biscuit aisle, your pastry aisle. These are all made with the grains that you're not designed to eat that cause all these blood sugar levels and cause this insulin response, which I'm going to explain in a bit.
Also, what
Um,
I'm noticing is a huge amount of gastro problems as well, which is linked into what people are eating on and off the bike. Obviously we're bombarded with gels and convenience foods on the bike, but so many people are getting stomach issues that I'm seeing athletes coming to me all the time saying, I'm really struggling with stomach issues, and you can't but think that that's linked into the convenience foods that are being rammed down our throat by commercial interests.
yeah, so there's two things. Well, I mean, the main thing there is that it's not necessarily you are what you eat, you are what you can digest, because like a lot of people can be eating good foods, but if their gastrointestinal system, your GI system, is not working properly, well then those foods are not properly getting broken down, they're not getting properly absorbed, and you're not feeling as good then. So a lot of the foods that problems are the high sugar and the refined grain foods, because they feed the bad bacteria, and this causes a lot of the bloating. It causes a lot of the things related to a leaky gut. It causes then a lot of the GI problems that people that like Ironman and triathletes get when they're racing. And so, apart from making you fitter and healthier, you're actually then clearing up a lot of the problems that you can be suffering from with your stomach.
What's a refined oil, Barry?
Yeah, so these are probably just as bad as all the pastries and cereals and breads people are in eating today. Um, Sunflower oils and have you ever gotten a handful of vegetables and squeezed them and a load of oil came out of them? No.
Yeah.
So why are we soaking and cooking everything in these vegetable oils? Why are all our low fat foods like things like low fat sauces and hummuses, and they're all made with these vegetable oils and seed oils. So they're refined, highly refined in terms of like you just need to go onto YouTube or something and look at the process of making vegetable oil. It's not pretty. It's a
Just
very
one I
industrial.
see over and over again. It's a partly hydrogenated oil that I see in a lot of the convenience foods.
Yeah, well, they're definitely the ones that I mean that's been in the news for like a good few years now. That's hydrogenated oils, which are called then trans fats. And anyway, without getting into the chemistry of it, they're the ones that governments now are banning from being on an ingredients list. But still as bad for you are things that people will be having at home would be an olive oil spread on their toast, thinking it's healthy. And if you look at it in the ingredients list, it will be made from sunflower oil or vegetable oil, and a splash, like there'll be a small amount percentage of olive oil in. And these refined oils are very pro-inflammatory, which means that they cause a lot of internal damage, and they oxidize. They have an effect then on free radical production, is what the term is.
Sorry,
So
we lost you there for 1 second, Ray. The audio just drifted out. We were talking about the olive oil spread people are using their toast, and they're under the impression that it's actually healthy when in reality there's actually a very small portion of the spread is actually composed of
yeah,
olives.
and this bread will contain what's called refined vegetable oils or sunflower oils, which are very high in a type of fat called omega-6, and they're very pro-inflammatory, and that means that they cause a lot of internal damage. So these oils actually cause these oils are foods that you should be avoiding and looking for in your ingredients list, on your sauces, on your your dips and your hummuses and your butters. Nothing should contain sunflower or vegetable or any of the other seed or type oils.
So
Um,
if I'm having a fried egg in the morning, what sort of oil should I use in the pan for that?
Very simple. You should be using a food that's very able for the heat, first of all, and secondly, doesn't contain all these omega-6 pro-inflammatory oils. What are they? The high in saturates type oils. So um, that would be real butter, coconut oil, or even things like duck fat. So that's what I would use predominantly for all of my cooking on a pan, would be real Irish butter or coconut oil, or and a lot of the time I'm using like proper high fat, high saturated fat type oils like
Not olive
duck
oil. That's
fat.
interesting because I know a lot of people will cook with olive oil.
Olive oil, I would choose, first of all, extra virgin olive oil, and I would only use it cold, as in I would dress my salads or dress my veg with it, because again, it's a type of oil that doesn't is not very good with high heat. So you've got a hot pan sizzling, you pour that olive oil onto it, and all you're doing is you're oxidizing the oil and making it kind of rancid almost. You're destroying the oil. So I would avoid not to cook with olive oil. I would use it liberally on. I used to live in Italy. I used to eat it every day. I still do, but it's extra virgin olive oil, and you use it as a kind of a dressing.
Very good, very good.
Okay. Um, Finally, can you still hear me there?
Yep, yep.
Finally, what we shouldn't be eating, which everybody loves to eat, and which causes probably the most problems out of everything, is the added sugars and the foods that are high in natural sugars. Okay, so your added sugars are today added to everything. You eat a low-fat yogurt, and it's laced with maybe teaspoons of sugar. You have tomato ketchup, it's laced with sugar. That's without going into all the obvious other high sugar foods. Now, people are bringing things like smoothies and juices into work and during the day for snacks. All those foods that you think are natural, so they're made from fruits, they're still high in sugars that have the same effect on your blood sugar level and your insulin levels as does eating a packet of sweets. So I would say sugar, number one, and everyone today knows that you don't have to look too far or watch the TV to find out the damages that sugar is causing to us, more so than any eggs or any red meat or any butter that you can eat.
Well, it seems like it's the big epidemic in our society at the moment. Personally, I don't think we're that far off having sugar warnings on foods similar to health warnings on sugar foods, similar to we have now with sugar with health warnings on cigarettes. I think that day is probably not too far away.
No, definitely, and I mean, like Jamie Oliver and people like that are trying to bring out things like a sugar tax. But apart from people listening to this going, yeah, yeah, we know, like Mars bars and jelly babies aren't good for us. Here's a list of foods that people are probably eating every day. Like, so you're getting up, you're having a bowl of, let's say you're having a bowl of muesli or a bowl of Weetabix. That's still refined grains and easily converted into sugar. Let's say then you're having a panini or a ciabatta at lunchtime. Again, a refined grain that gets converted into sugar. you're having a couple of biscuits with your tea, you're having a pastry, and then you're eating foods that are low in fat. Then you're having smoothies. Then you're having a bar, a cereal bar. Um, all these foods that people are eating probably fairly consistently are all the foods that have the bad stuff in them that I've just explained.
Yeah, for sure. And then, like, the typical evening meal for most Irish or British people watching, it's a big carbohydrate chunk in the evenings with, pasta or potatoes again. And, that's going to be broken down again into the same type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, a plate of rice, as natural as it is from the ground, a plate of rice gets converted into glucose or sugar as easily as does, a bowl of cereal. So you have to be really looking at your food in a slightly different way now if you want to be eating correctly, so to speak, or eating properly.
But
And
that sits perfect, right, with our whole system because we've talked through, we're asking people to make four big shifts this winter and we're asking them, without getting into exactly what they have to do in each aspect of their training, their strength and conditioning. The big thing we're asking people to do, it's, to not mindlessly just go out and ride their bike or not just go to the gym and, lift a couple of weights. Everything's purposeful. And so I think your system fits in perfect with that because you're asking people to take a step back, review what you're currently doing, and now purposefully eat food that's going to advance your long term not only performance goals but health goals.
yeah, this is the key to it. It's not short term. Everything I try to advise is I don't give people a diet. It's a way of eating. So, and it's also a lifestyle and a long term change. So this this is just a better way of eating. It's not a better diet. It's just a better way of understanding and approaching foods. Full stop. Um, and unfortunately, people are being fooled into not thinking this way. Why? Look at the picture of all those foods that are low in fats. Your cereals, your sauces, your low-fat mayonnaises, your light cheeses, your low-fat yogurts. I mean, people today are going around with their shopping baskets and filling their baskets with these foods, and these are the very foods that, if you look under the hood a little bit, you don't even have to look that far, and you understand things about your blood sugar levels. You understand things about refined oils and pro-inflammatory fats, and you understand things about how grains have been refined, and particularly wheat, and how easy that's converted into, again, glucose or sugar.
And the
Um,
horrible thing about this, Barry, is people's motivation with this, it's generally pure. Like they're looking because they're choosing the food that says low fat because they believe that to be the healthy alternative. It's just a lack of knowledge that's holding them back from actually achieving optimum health.
that's it. I mean, like, if people want to, like, go to the chipper and get their sausage rolls and their onion rings, I mean, I'm not going to stop them because that's their choose and they know that that's wrong for them. But there's a lot of genuine people who are trying to be healthy, going for the low fat spreads and the low fat yogurts and the skim milk, and they're genuinely actually trying to be healthy. And what I'm trying to explain here is that that is actually damaging. It's actually unhealthy for you to eat those foods. And this is a very hard mindset to change because it's been drilled into us for most of our lives. And um, apart from understanding it, you actually have to change your mindset into um, looking at things in a different way.
Barry, I think we've presented the problem quite nicely there. We're going to end this module here and we're going to come back with the second module where we're going to talk a little bit more about the solution. So I'm looking forward to getting stuck into that one.
Sure, sure. Okay, thanks a lot, Anthony.
All right, that was good, Barry. That was very good. Do
Yeah,
you want to take
yeah.
five minutes and we crack into the next one?
How long did we go there?
Let me see if there's a fucking clock running on it. I'd say we're 20 minutes there.
Yeah, we're about 20 minutes. So here's the thing.
23 minutes.
Are you happy to continue the two-way kind of, because it's going to make it longer if you're talking as well, okay?
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Which I think it comes across well because, like, you're making some good points and you're also leading me into the next discussion.
Yeah, I'm also
But
just trying to be with it almost the questions that I would like answered on it. Because I think if I want them answered, they probably want them answered.
Yeah, it's good. Put it this way, there's nothing wrong with it other than the fact that it's going to lengthen the presentation.
Yeah, so maybe I'll try and do less of it and just jump in at more crucial points,
Yeah. Okay.
and then
Exactly. Yeah.
we'll see how the next one goes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Now,
I'll end this recording and I'll send you a fresh link for the new one.
one other innocent request.
Okay.
Uh, don't curse.
Oh yeah, did I course that one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm bad for coursing. Yeah, no. I'll keep an eye on it.
It just makes it more professional, especially when we're doing something like this.
Yeah, no, definitely. Uh, okay, I will. I'm going to end this one. Just make sure it actually saved, because it will break my heart if it didn't save. But
Yeah.
I'll,
Exactly.
I'll send you a link. Do you want to take 10 minutes or so?
Yeah. Just look. You send me the next link, and it'll take 5 minutes, 10 minutes to get everything back up again. Anyways, I think.
Okay, cool, perfect. Talk to you.
Cheers.